and welcome to this special program on SLBC. My name is Majur Cholkor. This program is coming to you live from the national capital, Juba. And to say it, these times I'm joined by the special guest who is none other than Tabisa Biel-Luak, the South Sudanese Canadians that is here, came to South Sudan once again, and she is an artist. We're going to explore more from her side, and she's also the author of What a Godly Privilege to be Born a Man. This is the book we're going to talk about and more about herself in these editions of these special programs. Dear viewer, thank you so much for joining me, and let me say it, my guest Tabisa, I'm profoundly honored and exceedingly humbled to have you in this special edition on SSBC. You're most welcome.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you so much. Before we look more about your artistic work, you being a writer, let's know about you personally, all your backgrounds. I said Tabisa Biel-Luak. Let's know more about who you are.
Well, that's exactly my name. My name is Tabitha Biel-Luak. I'm South Sudanese. I grew up here, but part of me right now is also that I am a Canadian. So I'm from both worlds, basically, because Canada is where I live. So I'm a mother. I am an artist, like you mentioned earlier, and now I'm a writer.
Yes, being South Sudanese Canadians, how did you leave South Sudan and when?
I left the country, I think, I would say about 13 years ago, completely leaving, like the time when I left the country. And then I moved from South Sudan to Kenya, lived there for about 3 years. And then from there I moved to Canada. So I kind of lived there about 10 years now. 10 years.
How did you make it to Canada? For example, you go through a sponsorship, you go through maybe a family member inviting you to go and stay in Canada. How did you make it to Canada?
I was sponsored. I was sponsored to go there.
Can you briefly narrate a little bit about that sponsorship? Was it kind of academic sponsorship or family sponsorship?
No, it was through marriage. So the person that I was married to at that time, was living in Canada at the time. So he sponsored me to go and live with him.
When did you make it to South Sudan?
You mean like recently?
Yes.
I just made it, I think, about 3 weeks ago. That's when I came back to South Sudan. But I was here again, I think, in 2018. 2018, that's when I was here. But again, this.
You welcome home once again.
Thank you.
How does home look like from Canada?
Home is home. It will always be home. Canada is Canada, and it's hot here, but that's Sudan. That's South Sudan specifically, and there's nothing like home.
It's beautiful. Do you like to continue staying in South Sudan?
Absolutely. This is home, like I said. There's really nothing like home. Canada is home to me, and so is South Sudan.
What is the reason of you coming back to South Sudan? Is it because it is home?
It's always going to be home. It's not just going to be me or myself, trying to come back home and, visit people and all of that. But a lot of people are coming, will be coming. But for this specific journey, what brought me back to the country is about the book. So I came for purposes of sharing the message of the book with South Sudanese.
Thank you so much. And dear viewer, thank you so much for joining these special editions on SSBC. My name is Majur Cholkor, and my guest right here is Tabitha Biel-Luak, an activist and also an artist, a novel writer, and she's here with us this time to tell us more about her lifestyle and why she chose the writings as a career or things that she believes that she will do for South Sudanese. We're going to talk about her new book or novels that is written, What a Godly Privilege to be Born a Man. Briefly, take us through this book. When did you write it and what does the title mean?
So actually, the book just came out. It was published on on the 4th of August, 2021. And the reason for writing it, I think, is just one of the needs to educate people. First, to inform people, then therefore educate people about the things that we're not very foreign about, things that we know that are happening, and kind of just, bring them back to our attention and see what we can do about what is going on.
What does it mean? What a godly privilege to be born a man. What do you mean?
I realize one of the questions and kind of the frequent asked questions is why the title it is the way it is. What a godly privilege to be born a man is the title that I choose for the book because of what it stands for. These titles will not work if we were to talk about different backgrounds or maybe different cultures, because it's not a privilege to be born a man, because in some part of the world all people perhaps are equal, if not entirely. It's something that each and every country works with and work around. But when we talk about our culture, I think it is somewhat a privilege to be born a man. Not that it is good, but the responsibilities that have been abandoned by, the so-called man. And our men, for some reason, have forgotten that being a man is a responsibility, but that they use it to bring women down in somewhat, and in so many ways leads the life of women in a very unstable way.
Well, does this book talk about your lifestyle?
So when we talk about lifestyles, you mean my story?
Yes.
Like if this is about me? No, this book is not about me. This is about every other sister that we know of.
Okay, what are the contents in the book?
So what the book talks about is it's kind of covering a lot of topics. The book is talking about early child marriage, talking about forced marriage. It's talking about the ownership. Who owns what in our contact? Who owns what in our culture? When we say a child, who does the child belong? Does the child belong to a man? Does the child belong to a woman? Is the child belong to both genders? And what does the marriage really mean after all? But it also talks about the normal marriages. And surprisingly, how all of that ends in the same way, disaster, if you look at it. So yeah, it's covering a lot of topics.
I believe you've been away in South Sudan for 13 years, as you mentioned in your words. And this time that you have spent away, I don't know whether you have forgot some cultures of South Sudanese. It is believed that in South Sudan, based on our South Sudanese cultures, that women are supposed to do a lot of domestic duties. Why do you choose to take your time, sit before the computer, you write this book, and regardless of the other domestic duties that you're supposed to do as a woman, why do you choose to write a book? Do you think South Sudanese are good at reading?
First of all, I would just answer the last one, if whether South Sudanese are good readers or not, or they actually want to read. I think reading is a habit, and it can be introduced to people. People can read because in some part of the world, reading is one way to knowing new information and kind of familiarizing yourself with what you might have not known before. But to have taken time and sat behind a computer and try to write, that's a separate issue by itself, because that comes from a place of what exactly do I want to communicate right now? Apart from, will someone read it once it's written? So I've taken my time, devoted all of that energy to writing it because I believe in the message inside the book. So I think once we realize that part of our lives is perhaps the lack of growth or where we need to go, the reason why perhaps we're not going anywhere is part of the things that are being left, being served in our cultures. I think that is when we begin to talk. So the point of it is, let's start talking about the things that are happening in our cultures. Now, as far as our cultures, I think our cultures are very diverse because we're just South Sudanese, but there's a little different cultures within. But at the same time, what we need to know is, where do we start when we want to change? That begins with talking. We have to introduce that, need of communicating the things that are not being communicated.
Thank you so much. And dear viewer, thank you so much for joining us. You are watching the special editions on SSBC, and we are talking about a book titled "What a Godly Privilege to be Born a Man," and a book writer and who is the author, Tabitha Biel Luak, and she's an artist, she's a woman activist, and she's a writer. She's exploring more about the book and why she managed to write this book. We'll find out how you can get the copy of this book and you read more about this book. First, let's find out from you, what do you think will be the benefit of all your knowledge that you injected in writing this book?
Now, one of the benefits is the fact that everything in the book is not something we are not familiar with. Let's begin with child marriage, okay? And if you have not felt that, or if that did not happen in the family, you have known of a neighbor who might have gone through that experience. So the benefit of that is, if you ever question that, if you ever question why that is happening, then it's not something that you would then struggle to understand why it is happening, because if you have come from a place of questioning what has happened and why it happened. So I think the benefit of it is just that we are very familiar with the things that are happening. We just need to now bring them to the table and converse on those topics. So that would be one of them.
We'll come back to exhaust more about this book and also more about your lifestyle and also on the academic part. Dear viewer, thank you so much for following these special editions programs on SLBC. My name is Majur Cholkur and my guest is Tabitha Biel Luak, a South Sudanese Canadian, an artist, woman activist, and also a writer of a novel, What a Godly Privilege to be Born a Man. Let's have a short break and we'll be right back shortly. Welcome back, dear viewer. Thank you so much for joining us. These special editions programs on SSBC. Once again, my guest, you're most welcome. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's talk about your target audience, like your target readers. of this book, who are your main target readers? I know anyone who can read the book, but who are the people that you are dedicating this knowledge to them to read and change their life?
So, to change one's life, that's a personal decision. We can talk about things and how they can change someone else's lives. Until then, when they take a step to changing their own life, that's when the change comes. So as far as the audience, I think I'm targeting everybody. Anyone who then can read and kind of just evaluates what's going on, go deeper, kind of relate to the story, look at the left and say, oh, I know that person. I can see that person. That's my audience.
Okay.
That's the person I'm looking for.
Starting from me and a viewer on SLBC and someone who would love to have what a godly privilege to be born a man, how can I get it?
So, exactly, I think this would be a great opportunity to join me on Saturday, this Saturday, 4th, I think, September the 4th.
Yeah.
We are doing a book launch at the University of Juba from 2 to 5. I think that would be an opportunity for all our viewers to come and then join us, and not only that, they can have a copy of that, but they can also have discussions, open discussions, and talk about maybe their experiences. If not, maybe have a say, maybe something that they might want to tell me. So,
okay,
this Saturday.
Well, thank you so much, dear viewer, and that this Saturday, get yourself a copy during the launchings of this book at the University of Juba. That is according to the author. And you said there will be a discussion. I believe it will take you a lot of time. It takes you a time to be in class, to be back into your own room, sit, relax, and have ideas to write the book. Mm-hmm. What is your academic background?
I am a student, as we're talking. I'm a student. I'm taking psychology, going for my 3rd year right now. So that's my academic journey.
You said you are an artist. You have maybe one of your famous songs that South Sudanese could know you, that this is Tabitha Biel, who is a singer.
I think I have few. I have few songs. One of the songs is called Gone Away. Gone Away is a song that was composed during our struggles, times I felt that we need God than we ever need Him.
Don't you mind to sample?
Samples the song?
Yeah. Someone would love to know Gone Away. How does it go? Like maybe I've never listened to
You
it.
have never?
And maybe someone outside there.
Wow.
So can you remind all of us?
Well, I think if you really want to know the songs, you just go to my YouTube.
Okay.
And my name is Tabitha Biel. And once you click that, it brings up a whole lot of things, but then you'll be able to get that song.
So you mean your voice on YouTube and this voice, they're different?
No, this is my voice, and that's what you're gonna get. That's what you're gonna get, yeah.
Okay, you said you're a mother, and if you don't mind, how was your life before in South Sudan, before you go to Canada? Like, before you get married, or before you write this book, how was your life in South Sudan?
I grew up
in the village.
Exactly. I grew up in a place called Akoba. Okay. One of the greenest place, I think, in the entire South Sudan. If I'm not exaggerating it, but I'm not. So green, so beautiful.
Yeah.
So I grew up there, and I would say that my life, just like every girl's life, it kind of was just the same. I went through everything that every girl was going through, still going through. Yeah.
What did your husband say about your book when you were writing a book? Because there are some other South Sudanese female students that are now trying to maybe have an idea of writing their books in future, and maybe cultures may affect. What was the reaction of your husband?
As far as my husband's reactions, I would say...
Was it not against maybe his feeling?
No, I think he probably could have had a reaction, but he did not, because I don't have one yet. I used to. I had one before, but because of situations that had to end, the marriage had to end, basically. And so I'm looking forward to having another one and maybe see his reaction. So we know. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
So,
to other inspiring South Sudanese female writers that would be interesting to write in future, what can you tell them as a courageous word? What are some tips for them to know when they want to write book, when they want to compose songs based on their talents?
I think one of the things that has served me is the just to be you, to be original, be who you are in what you're doing. Oftentimes we try to copy other people. We want to be like them because perhaps they look good in some ways and we want to resemble them. That has not worked for me, never tried that, so I have always been me, and that works for me. So I would say be who you are. Whatever that you want to do, that be writing or composing songs, just do it to the best of your ability. And sometimes when you're stuck and you don't know where to go, but you really want to pursue something, do not be ashamed of asking for directions. Do not be ashamed of saying, how have you done it? What challenges have you gone through? Asking somebody else who've gone through that road. And people, as far as I know, are very generous when it comes to giving directions, advice, and all of that. Someone will be able to lend you a hand and say, this is how it's done. But first of all, you have to own what it is that you want to do.
Yes. This book, is it your first edition?
This is the first edition. Yeah, absolutely. It's first book, first edition.
Are you thinking of writing more, planning of writing more books in future?
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping so. I have some other projects going on, but yeah.
Apart from being an artist, apart from being a writer, what other thing do you do for a living?
Other than those two things and the fact that I'm a student, I think what I hope is to first, journey through educations and finish what I want to finish first, and see what lay, ahead of that. And I don't know what I'll become, but I think as far as God blessed, so I think it will be okay.
People believe that maybe the reason why you write a book, as you mentioned, is maybe to change the life of the readers, people who read all the content in this book, and maybe you gaining something out of it, either being financials or maybe some other support that may be given to you by people who will be willing to support you. Do you think writing a book as a writer can earn someone money?
Oh, as far as getting something back, I do believe there are writers who do writing for livings, right? I haven't gone through that experience. I don't know what happens when you just devote your life to writing. I think it's worth doing. Once it's a passion, I think it's hard to stop not doing what you really feel inside to do. So whether that will earn you a living, that is something that is very individualized. So people will know because they may have gone through that and know exactly what it has earned them for. But for me, I'm a baby in this journey. So I just started it. So I don't know what happens.
Who inspire you to be a writer? Like, who is your role model?
I would say life itself. I think sometimes when you go through things yourself, you begin to see the other side, the other part of life.
Yeah.
And begin to questions, and when you questions, it could be a ruining turn or a turning point. And life has inspired me to get up and do it because I never liked what happened.
How long did it take you for you to write this book?
It took a few years, and I think part of it was because I really was not focusing on it. For the most part, because I also was engaged in different things. It took a few years to finish it.
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you, dear viewer, for following these special editions on SLBC as we talk about what a godly privilege to be born a man, a book written by Tabitha Biel Luke. And we are talking more about this. Before we end this interview, let me come back to Tabitha. What have been the challenges that you faced while writing this book until you achieved it?
There are so many challenges, and every writer will tell you different things because different challenges happens to different people. I would say one of the things that was a challenge for me was time. Getting the time to do it. But I also would say the biggest challenges was myself. I think at some point you begin to feel there's some contradictions going on inside you. The way people will receive it. Are you doing something that is illegal? There's just so many things that you begin to feel as if this is the right things to do. But eventually I had to face that inner me and say, well, no, this is something that I feel served a point in my life, and also to other people who will be able to read it. And so I went ahead and do it anyway. But time was one, and me was another one.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much. And because of time, I will believe all the viewers will follow and meet with you in person on the launching day at Jiva University on Saturday, the 4th of September. And for me right here and the crew in the studio, we want to come back to you and say, what could be your lovely message to all the inspirers who want to write book in future, and also Sudanese that you have come and met with them, those who you met in person and those who will watch at you right now? What would be your last message?
My message to everybody who is trying to write is that do not stop. Keep writing. Sometimes what stops us from doing something is somebody else. So I would say do not give that person a chance to stop you. Other times what stops us is us. So do not let yourself stop you. You got a message, and we South Sudanese need to hear that. But there's no way we're not going to be able to get it until you get it out. So get it out so we can read it.
So get it out, and I can get myself a copy of this book tomorrow, and I get it out with me. How to get it out? So how to get out with this copy? Do you need me to come with some cash during the launching day?
You could. That's another way to take it. come first. Part of the paying, part of the price that you will pay is just a support. And again, all of this doesn't come by itself. It costs a lot of money, but that's not the point. I think one of the things that I've realized so far that I've spent some time here in South Sudan is the need for people to read. There are so many initiatives kind of, making that a thing for us. Reading is very important. So come to read. Take your copy and read.
Thank you so much, Tabitha, for making it to the studio of SABC. Let's hope it will not be the last time. This is your home, and you are free to come back next time and share more light. And I wait to see more editions of this book or more book coming your way. Thank you so much, dear viewer, for following these special editions on SABC. And we have been talking about a book titled, What a Godly Privilege to be Born a Man. Right by Tabitha Biel Luak and Hatis, South Sudanese woman activist and also a writer. For me, Majur Cholkor, and the crew in the studio, we do say, Tabitha, thank you so much for making it to the studio, and back to you, our viewer. Thank you so much for following this edition. Until we meet again, and God bless all of you. Bye for now. Get yourself a copy at Juba University on 4th of September during the launchings. And God bless all of you. Bye for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much.